Yo, what's happening? What it do? It's your boy Elijah Blick, and you are now tuned in to Media Spotlight UK. Keep it locked.
Pieces of your heart had been falling. Secrets locked up for me to find. Instincts told me not to go all in. And finally I'm finding out why. Yeah.
It's man-like.
It's your boy Elijah Blake. What's up, Gully? How you feeling?
I'm good. Right, well, what's brought you to London?
Did like this cool little intimate event. I've heard a lot of the legendary Tape Night, but they're doing some kind of new. It's a new type of vibe where it's intimate concert series, but acoustic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm just learning about it, but apparently, from what I'm told, Drizzy was out here about a week ago.
Right, big up Drizzy.
Yeah. Shout out to Drizzy and my homie Trey, who's like my big brother in this game, and he was out here doing something on the nightclub side. But then they're doing like these. It's called the Tape Lodge. So I just came out here and previewed some new songs from the project.
Right.
Did some songs. I've never really done an actual show in London. You know what I mean? I get so much love out here from you guys. So it was cool to kind of give them a treat, just to kind of say thank you, you know?
Yeah, so was that just for like the super fans that were there?
It was for the super fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of them flew in from like Germany and or flew in rather took the train. I don't know. Can you take the train from Germany here?
Well, you can go from France. You can get the Eurostar, so you can go from Germany to France and then get here.
They were from all over. It was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So it was cool. So it was for like the super fans and just kind of like a secret thing, but it was cool. Yeah.
Sick. And,
Yeah.
I say you beat the London traffic. The London traffic beat you.
Beat me bad.
But you're
I
here.
lost that fight.
What's the traffic like where you're from? I mean, you were.
Well, I'm from LA, so it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's probably but the thing is, in LA, people don't move with urgency.
Right. So because they got good weather. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but out here, you guys are driving to kill somebody,
Mate.
and it's traffic.
Mate, and the buses are killing you, and all
and
sorts.
then the roads are this small, so it's like it just is. I'm like, it's amazing how you guys like do it, but it's an art.
Yeah, as organized chaos, they might say.
Exactly.
So what have you been working on the last
I just
few months?
finished the new album, man, and I'm so excited about it. I feel like this is the first true, and I know every artist says this. I feel like every artist says this for every album, right? But I mean, it should be that way, right? You should grow and learn yourself more.
Yeah.
But just me as a young man now and just understanding why I went through certain things that I went through as a kid. This is the first project that talks about deeper than love and relationships and stuff like that. Not just relationships, but relationship with oneself, with religion, certain things that you face, you know what I mean, that you struggle with just like things that happened with my father and as a young man. And just the storytelling and embracing my gift of storytelling, which I feel like I've neglected for so long. And when you're with a major label and they're like telling you what's the radio single, and you kind of are forced to do certain things and neglect what inspires you to do music in the beginning, which was David Bowie and Prince and Jimi Hendrix. That's why I'm out here just taking in the culture, because like I said, Bowie, Hendrix are from this area, so I'm in heaven right now, man. The album is done, and I'm excited to like. I can stand by this and say this is my body of work, and there's an Elijah Blake DNA in this project.
Right,
know?
okay, and we can test it for the DNA as well.
You can test it, and I am the father. Out of Pappy.
Pain is only temporary.
So what's the name of the album?
You guys are good, man.
What was one of my questions?
No more questions. Where's the publicist?
Oh, no.
No, the album is called Audiology.
Right.
And like I said, I feel like there's so much of my DNA in every song, and you can really get a glimpse of who Elijah Blake really is, beyond the songwriter, beyond the singer, the performer, but just Elijah Blake as a person, as a human being. And I think that that's necessary with what's going on with the back and forth with Trump and the disagreements in our country and the gun laws and everything. And black rights and the bigotry that people feel, like, you know, how the Women's March happened, and it's important for people to know who you are, and what you stand for. So I had to do a lot of searching and be okay to say, hey man, I don't got all the answers, Sway. I'm learning myself. I think now with social media, we have to always act like we're okay. We have to always act like we've got it all figured out, and we've lost the beauty in saying sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me figure this out and get back to you. You know what I mean? So biology, if you think of it, is the study of the human anatomy, and this project for me is a study of myself in audio form. So I'm calling it audiology.
Right. Okay. I like the concept. Right, so you talked on America and obviously what's going on right now, and obviously we've got our own situations here in the UK. But do you
what? What is it? Because I know when I landed, somebody drove through the gates or something like that.
That was that particular attack that happened last week.
Wow, man.
In terms of the politics, we've got our own Brexit situation where we're leaving the EU.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
People hate my British accent, but
it's
I want
not bad. It's not bad.
Really, I want to be British so bad. God knew what he was doing when he didn't give me a British accent.
I think Drake wants to be British.
Yeah, it's contagious.
I think he'll get his British passport soon.
Hopefully I get British before him, but I want to be British so bad. All I
Yeah.
watch is Game of Thrones and like all of that. I'm obsessed with like London culture.
Yeah, London's where it's at. But in terms of, do you think more artists should be speaking up? You know, in terms of
For sure.
Yeah, because it feels like a lot of artists take a back seat when they need to speak up the most.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I had to look at myself and say, if you don't say something, if you don't use your platform and the gift that God has given you, you're a coward.
Yeah.
And don't blame it on your A&R. Don't blame it on your label. Don't blame it on anything. Because artists like Marvin Gaye, when he did What's Going On, they threatened to not release the project. They threatened to drop him. But he chose art over politics.
Exactly. It's like Muhammad Ali as well when he refused to go to the war.
Yes, stand for something or fall for anything. And there's a Tupac quote that I love. It says, "I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees." That's what
Right.
it is.
Okay.
And it just says stand for something. It infuriates me when people act like they're so upset about gun violence and black rights and other things, and then it's only when it's convenient, when it's time to black out your Instagram. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's deeper. It's like, do that, and then when it's not a trending topic, support the cause for human rights and other things when it's not a trending topic, when it's not a popular hashtag, when do a song of, like, you know what I mean, like stand up for something and go out and protest, but also vote for the best judge in your city, and vote for better super, like, just anything in the Supreme Courts and other things. You know what I mean? Don't just be so upset with Trump. Like, let's make the Supreme Court stronger so then they can fight back, and in the Senate, and understand who you're putting into power by not saying anything.
Exactly, because there's only so many things we can control. So if we start with the things you mentioned, we might have a better chance of having a...
Yeah, the little things. They only focus on the big things, but the little things that, if you add up all the little things, you got something bigger.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's what shanda ba ba ba.
Making some big statements right now.
Ooh, that was one right there.
I'm going to quote that on Instagram. But you used to be known as Sean Fenton and Red Styles.
Yeah.
Right,
well, Sean is my first name. Sean Fenton, that's my government. So.
Right, so who's Elijah then?
Elijah is, so my grandfather was really spiritual.
Right.
And he believed in, biblical names and just that affecting your journey. And he was just saying, you're going to be, he's like, this. I want this kid to be a leader of people and to bring people back to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And sort of like the story of Elijah in the Bible. And he just would always call me that and want that to be, and his name was Blake. So... when I started singing, so I came into the industry, I was everybody's little brother, so that's when the Red Styles days, that was a childhood nickname.
Yeah.
Because I was a badass little kid, and I used to walk around, and I always had bruises on me, and you know what I mean? So there's like, oh,
getting into mischief.
Yeah, but when I grew, the progression as from coming in from a boy to a man.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to need God to really deal with these crazy people in this industry.
Yeah. Indeed.
To center myself.
You need somebody looking out for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to need the strength of my grandfather and what he thought that I was capable of, and to remind myself of that. So that's just the whole purpose and meaning behind Elijah Blake.
Let's speak about the industry, because what was it? You got signed to Atlantic when you were 16?
So yeah, Atlantic, basically, it was there's a production label at the time, which was Songbook Atlantic, which is where Trey Songz at the time was at the same time. So I flew to Atlanta fresh out of high school, like homeschooled through high school, and then I was just living there in the basement and just watching and learning, and it was a development deal, and it just wasn't the music that I think in partnership with Atlantic, I think Troy Taylor, who's my big brother, understood what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do in that political world. And me being a kid and not being able to stand up for myself. But I got what I needed to get out of there. I got, in terms of recording myself and certain how to record myself. And just, I don't regret it, but now I understand why I went through that and how that's affected who I am being the artist that I am.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be to mute out everybody, because it gets so much, bro. It gets so much. Like, everybody, like, even you wear this shirt today, somebody's like, I like this, and you're like, okay, well, I did something good, and somebody's like, I would have done it in black, or,
right?
You
Okay.
know what I mean? It's like, oh man, like,
you start second guessing,
yeah,
maybe.
it's like, man, I like your style, but have you ever thought about blonde hair?
Yeah.
Everybody, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Oh wow! Right.
And that's what you deal with so many people in the company. Everybody has different tastes. It's like, but as a kid, you really want to be like, oh man, what do you like? You like that? And you'll drive yourself crazy. And it's just kind of say, I would tell the younger Elijah Blake, like, what do you like? What do you want to wear?
Yeah.
What do you want to sing about?
Yeah, give yourself the choice, the freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you'll drive yourself crazy trying to please everybody. And I did. I drove myself crazy and drove them crazy in the process.
But you're all sane now. You're all sane.
I'm a Gemini, so that's never.
Oh, my girlfriend's a Gemini, and I often tell her that she has two sides. She's like a boy and a girl.
Only two?
Mate, actually more, but I can't say that
nice.
on camera.
You're being nice because she's probably watching this.
Let's speak about Climax, because that is one of my favourite songs.
Thank you, man.
Of all
Thank you.
time. And it's weird because, like, it's not weird, but people might say, "Oh, that's a song for women," but it's
not at all.
But it's a song that it's just like, it's almost like one of the ultimate pop songs.
Oh man, thank you.
Like, you got Diplo who produced it, and he was part of the writing. You co-wrote it with a couple other people as well.
Well, no, just me and Usher.
Oh, was it just you and Usher?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Wikipedia needs to start deleting some stuff then.
That Wikipedia gets you every time. But you know what? It's not. I don't think Wikipedia is wrong, because a lot of times when they put it up, there's so many ways you can interpret it, right? Because they'll put writers, and it'll be you don't see Diplo's. You'll see Diplo's real name.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
You'll think, and then you'll see. So they put the producers down as writers,
right?
They consider it all as writers. So you'll see like 4 people, and you'll think it's
on,
but it's really like the producer. So 2 people who co-produced it, and then 2 people who wrote on it too. So
when you co-wrote that, did you realize how big it would be?
No, I didn't.
The song walked away, but it was a Grammy Award-winning song.
Yeah, I didn't know, honestly. Like, I just at the time, everything was like 4 on the floor. Everything was the Dr. Luke and put your hand in the air.
All of that.
You know what I mean? So I was like, they're not gonna get this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it was almost like a breath of fresh air at that time.
And people received it. Like what you're saying, it was a breath of fresh air. And now, if you look at where radio is right now, it's like with the sound of progressive R&B, it's all a sort of like a
amalgamation of everything
from that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's cool that I could be a part of that.
Yeah,
and I think it took an artist like Usher. You know, people always say to me, "Why did you give that song away?" And I was like, "I didn't give that song away.
Yeah,
I was flown to New York to do a job. You know what I mean? And it was a song that we did in the studio. It's not a song I wrote in my basement or in my room. And
Yeah.
Like, I was flown to New York and we wrote it in the studio.
So for example, when you start a song like that and they say, "Look, we're going to fly out to work with Usher," do they give you like an idea of what they want, or they'll just be like, "You guys just work together"?
Yeah, it just was like, we're flying you to New York, and to me, I was like, I'm gonna show up there, and he's not even gonna know that I'm coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember thinking the whole time. I was like, my A&R made a play. He set up a play. He was a hustler.
Yeah.
And he somehow got it finagled for me to get to New York and work on this. But Usher's completely unaware that I'm showing up to work, and he's completely unaware of who I am.
Right, okay.
But it wasn't that. That wasn't the case.
He was aware.
Yeah, and then just being there, and then I remember Diplo sitting in the corner, and I was just was like, "Yo, well, what do you do?" He's like, "I produce," and and I was like, "Oh, what's your name?" He's like, "Diplo." I was like, "Oh," and I just kind of and act like you belong there. You know what I mean? Because around that time I was like, what, 20? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
you got Diplo and Usher in the same room, and
so if it wasn't enough that I'm like with my childhood like idol, then it's like Diplo at the time who had just did the Beyonce record, and
that's
I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I remember he looked over, he said, "What are we here to do?" Then that's why I was like, I knew They didn't tell this nigga that I was coming to write. He's like, what are you guys here for? And me and my aunt, I looked at my aunt like, you motherfucker. and we were like, well, Mark Pitts told us that it, and he was like, no. He's like, we're here to make history. And
you did.
We did.
I don't even drink this shit.